Have you ever wondered how one single thought could erase a lifetime of honesty in just a few seconds? Not a big mistake. Not a crime planned over years. Just one quiet thought that slips into your mind when no one is watching. Think about this for a moment. You can spend your whole life doing the right thing, working hard, staying honest, keeping your values strong, and still, one unchecked thought can change everything. Forever. Today's story is not about a bad person. It's about a good one. Someone just like many of us. And that's what makes this story uncomfortable, powerful, and impossible to forget. Here on English Story Archive, we share stories that don't just entertain you. They stay with you. They make you pause. And sometimes, they make you question your own choices. So here's the reward if you stay until the very end of this story. You'll walk away with a simple but powerful lesson that can protect you from regret. A lesson that can help you stop a bad decision before it ruins a good life. Most people learn it too late. You don't have to. Before we go further, take a second to like this video and subscribe to English Story Archive. It helps these stories reach people who truly need them. Now let me take you to a small town, where an honest young man lived a quiet life of struggle. A man who believed he could never betray his values. And yet, his biggest test was closer than he ever imagined. In a small, forgotten town lived a young man named Daniel. He wasn't famous. He wasn't lucky. And he certainly wasn't rich. Every morning, Daniel woke up with hope in his heart, even though the world had given him very little reason to feel hopeful. His days followed the same pattern. He walked from street to street looking for work. Some days he earned a few coins. Most days, he earned nothing at all. When evening came, he returned to his small room, cooked a simple meal, and slept, knowing tomorrow would be the same. But there was one thing Daniel never lost. His honesty. Even when hunger followed him home, he never cheated. Even when money was tight, he never lied. He believed that if he stayed true to his values, life would eventually reward him. That belief was the only thing keeping him strong. People in the town knew him as a quiet man. He didn't complain. He didn't beg. He didn't take shortcuts. He trusted that hard work and patience were enough. And for a long time, they were. But life has a way of testing people when they least expect it. Not with loud challenges. Not with obvious danger. Sometimes, the test arrives quietly, disguised as a simple request. On one long, exhausting day, after hours of walking without finding a single job, Daniel started his slow journey back home. His shoulders were heavy. His mind was tired. And that was the exact moment when someone called out to him from behind. A voice that would change everything. As Daniel walked down the dusty road, lost in his thoughts, a calm but tired voice called out from behind him. "Is there anyone here who can help me?" Daniel stopped and turned around. Standing a short distance away was an elderly man. His back was slightly bent, his hair thin and gray. Beside him were 3 large travel bags resting on the ground. They looked heavy. Very heavy. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then stepped closer. He had nothing to lose and no reason to refuse. Helping someone had always come naturally to him. The old man looked relieved. He explained that he needed to reach the next village before nightfall. He could carry 2 of the bags himself, but the third one was too heavy for him. Then he made an offer. "I'll give you a few gold coins if you help me carry it," the man said. Daniel was surprised. Gold coins were rare. Still, he didn't rush to agree because of the money. He agreed because someone needed help. When he lifted the bag, he felt the weight pull down on his shoulder. It was heavier than he expected. "This is very heavy," Daniel said. The old man nodded calmly and replied, "That's because it's filled with bronze coins." They began walking together. As they moved forward, Daniel noticed something strange. The old man kept glancing at him, as if he was watching him closely. For a brief moment, a thought crossed Daniel's mind. Maybe the man was afraid he would run away with the bag. Daniel pushed that thought aside immediately. He reminded himself who he was. "I'm not a thief," he thought. "I don't take what isn't mine. I earn what I get." He had no idea that this was only the first test, and that with every step forward, the weight he carried would grow heavier in more ways than one. After walking for some time, the road led them to the edge of a wide river. The water moved fast, and the current looked strong. Daniel stepped closer without thinking. He was young and steady on his feet. But the old man stopped. "I can't cross this river," he said softly. "I'm too old. If I fall, I may not survive." Daniel turned back, confused for a moment. Then the old man pointed to one of the bags he was carrying. "Can you take one more bag across for me?" he asked. "I'll give you more gold coins." Daniel nodded. To him, this was still just helping someone in need. He reached out to take the bag, but the old man suddenly pulled it back. "Promise me you won't run away," the old man said. Daniel felt a small sting of irritation. He had done nothing wrong. Still, he stayed calm. The old man continued, "This bag has silver coins inside. I've learned not to trust people easily." Daniel looked at him, surprised and slightly offended. "Do I look like someone who would steal?" he asked. "I don't betray people for money." He took the bag firmly and stepped into the river. The water pushed against his legs, but he kept going. He crossed safely and placed the bag on the other side. Not once did he think of leaving. Not once did he consider taking what wasn't his. His honesty stayed strong, even when temptation stood right in front of him. But what Daniel didn't realize was this: every test that passes only leads to a harder one ahead. And the next test would be the most dangerous of all. Once Daniel crossed the river, the path began to rise. Ahead of them stood a long, steep hill. Daniel adjusted the weight on his shoulders and started climbing without complaint. After a few steps, he realized something was wrong. The old man wasn't following him. Daniel stopped and looked back. The old man was still standing at the bottom of the hill, breathing heavily. "I can't climb with this bag," the old man said. "My legs aren't strong enough." Daniel sighed quietly, then walked back down. "Then give it to me," he said. "I'll carry it for you." The old man hesitated. His eyes locked onto Daniel's face. Then he spoke slowly, almost carefully. "This bag is different," he said. "It contains gold coins." Daniel felt his chest tighten. Gold coins. Real gold. More than he had ever seen in his entire life. "If you run away with it," the old man continued, "I won't be able to stop you." Daniel felt frustration rise inside him. He had already proven himself twice. Still, he stayed calm. "I've told you already," Daniel said. "I'm an honest man. I don't steal. I once left a job because they asked me to lie for money. I would rather stay poor than lose my integrity." The old man studied him in silence. After a long pause, he finally placed the bag into Daniel's hands. "Go ahead," he said. "I'll follow slowly. Wait for me at the top of the hill." Daniel lifted the bag and started walking up alone. The weight was heavy, but not unbearable. Yet something else felt heavier now. As Daniel climbed higher, a quiet thought slipped into his mind. "If I run away," he thought, "the old man will never catch me." He shook his head slightly and kept walking. But the thought didn't leave. Another thought followed. He's old. What will he even do with all this money? Daniel's heart began to race. His steps slowed. His breathing changed. For the first time in his life, honesty was no longer the loudest voice in his mind. and the hill ahead was about to decide his future. As Daniel continued climbing the hill, the road ahead grew quiet. There were no people around. No footsteps behind him. Just his own breathing and the weight of the bags pressing against his shoulders. That's when the thought returned. Stronger this time. If I run now, he thought, no one will stop me. He tried to push it away, but his mind didn't stop there. I could be rich, the voice inside him whispered. I could finally rest. No more hunger. No more searching for work. His steps slowed even more. Another thought followed, louder than the last. He's old. He has already lived his life. But I'm young. This money could change everything for me. Daniel imagined a future he had never allowed himself to dream about. A comfortable home. Respect. Security. A life without struggle. With every step, the thought grew heavier than the bags themselves. His heart started beating faster. His hands tightened around the straps. For years, Daniel had believed that being honest was enough. He had never faced a moment like this. A moment where temptation didn't look like wrongdoing. It looked like opportunity. And then, without turning back, Daniel made his choice. He started running. Not slowly. Not carefully. He ran as fast as his tired legs would carry him, gripping all 3 bags. His breath burned. His chest tightened. But he didn't stop. When he finally reached his small room, he slammed the door shut behind him. His hand shook as he dropped the bags to the floor. This is it, he told himself. My life is about to change. He opened the first bag. Then the second. Then the third. And in that moment, his heart sank. There was no gold. No silver.
No bronze.
Only stones. Cold. Useless. Stones. Daniel stood frozen, staring at the stones spread across the floor. His hands trembled. His mind refused to understand what his eyes were seeing. Where is the money? He whispered. He searched the bags again, hoping he had missed something. But there was nothing.
No coins. No treasure.
Just ordinary stones that meant nothing. Confused and shaken, Daniel noticed a folded piece of paper resting at the bottom of one bag. He picked it up slowly and opened it. As his eyes moved across the words, his breathing stopped. The note said that the old man was not an ordinary traveler. He was the king of the land. He had no family.
No heir.
And as his life neared its end, he had been searching for one thing only. An honest person. Someone worthy enough to trust with a kingdom. The note explained that if Daniel had waited at the top of the hill, if he had controlled his thoughts just a little longer, he would have been chosen as the king's adopted son. He would have inherited everything. Daniel felt his chest tighten as the meaning sank in. His entire life, he had been honest. He had never cheated. Never lied for money. Yet one greedy thought, just one moment of weakness, had destroyed the greatest opportunity he would ever have. He dropped to the floor, overwhelmed by regret. Not because he was poor, but because he had almost become someone great, and lost it all to a single thought. Daniel sat in silence, holding the note in his hands. Nothing could be changed now. The chance had passed. And it passed not because he was dishonest by nature, but because he failed to control his thoughts for one critical moment. This is where the real lesson begins. Daniel's downfall did not start when he ran away. It started much earlier. It started with a single thought that he allowed to stay. A thought that slowly grew stronger. A thought that painted greed as logic and temptation as opportunity. At first, the thought was small. If I run, he can't catch me. That should have been the end of it. But Daniel let it continue. Then it became, I'll be rich. I'll live a better life. I deserve this. And just like that, One thought turned into a decision. One decision turned into action. And that action shaped his future. There is a saying that our worst enemy is not outside us. It lives inside our own mind. No one forced Daniel to run. No one pushed him. His thoughts did all the work. Every action begins as a thought. Thoughts turn into words. Words turn into habits. And habits decide where our life ends up. This story is not only about Daniel. It's about all of us. Because every day, life tests us quietly. Not with loud warnings, but with small thoughts that seem harmless at first. And if we don't stop them in time, they can take us somewhere we never planned to go. That's why controlling your thoughts is not just important. It's necessary. Before this story ends, take a moment to think about your own life. How many times have you faced a situation where a small thought tried to pull you in the wrong direction? A thought that said, "No one will know," or "just this once," or "I deserve this." Most of the time, the danger isn't the situation itself. It's the conversation happening inside your mind. Daniel didn't lose his future because he was a bad person. He lost it because he didn't stop a bad thought in time. And that's something that can happen to anyone. To honest people. To hardworking people. To people who believe they would never make the wrong choice. That's why awareness matters. When a negative thought appears, don't argue with it. Don't entertain it. Stop it early. Because once it grows, it becomes harder to control. Here on English Story Archive, we believe stories exist to guide us, not just to entertain us. And if this story made you pause, even for a second, then it has already done its job. Now we'd love to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in Daniel's place? Would you have waited, or would you have run? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your answer might help someone else see things more clearly. And if you believe this story can help a friend or family member, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with them. One story. One lesson. One thought at a time. And remember, the future you build tomorrow begins with the thoughts you choose today.